the tide began to turn. He was troubled too, so troubled that he actually asked for my advice. So I went with him to the halls. No, so I went with him to his halls in the Blue Mountains, and I listened to his long tale. I soon understood that his heart was hot with brooding on his wrongs and the loss of the treasure of his forefathers. It wouldn't be. And burdened too with the duty of revenge upon Smog that he had inherited. Dwarves take such duties very seriously. I promised to help him if I could. I was as eager as he was to see the end of Smog, but Thorin, for all plans of battle and war, was... For Thorin, for all... Oh, but Thorin was all for plans of battle and war, as if he were really King Thorin II, and I could see no hope in that. So I left him and went off to the Shire and picked up the threads of news. It was a strange business. I did no more than follow the lead of chance and made many mistakes on the way. Somehow, I'd been attracted by Bilbo. Long before, as a child and a young hobbit. He had not quite come of age when I had last seen him. He had stayed in my mind ever since, with his eagerness and his bright eyes and his love of tales, and his questions about the wide world outside the Shire. Outside the Shire. As soon as I entered the Shire, I heard news of him. He was getting talked about, it seemed. Both his parents had died early for Shire folk, at about 80, and he had never married. He was already growing a bit queer, they said, and went off for days by himself. He could be seen talking to strangers, even dwarves. Suddenly in my mind, these were the things that came together. The great dragon with his lust and his keen hearing and scent. The sturdy, heavy-booted dwarves with their old burning grudge, and the quick, soft-footed hobbit. Sick at heart, I guessed, for a sight of the wide world, and I laughed at myself. But I went off at once to have a look at Bilbo, to see what 20 years had done to him, and whether he was as promising as gossip seemed to make out. But he was not at home. They shook their heads in Hobbiton when I asked them. Off again, said one hobbit. It was Holman, the gardener, I believe. Off again, he'll be right off one of these days if he isn't careful. Why, I asked him where he was going and when he would be back. And I don't know, he says. And then he looks at me queerly. It depends if I meet any, Holman, he says. It's the elves' New Year tomorrow. A pity, and him so kind a body. You wouldn't find a better from downs into the... You wouldn't find a better from the downs to the river. Better and better, I thought. I think I shall risk it. Time was getting short. I had to be with the White Council in August at the latest. Or Saruman would have his way, and nothing could be done. And quite apart from greater matters that might prove fatal to the quest, the power in Dol Guldur would not leave any attempt on Erebor unhindered, unless he had something else to deal with. I was a wizard. So I rode off back to Thorin in haste to tackle the difficult task of persuading him to put aside his lofty designs and go secretly and take Bilbo with him, without seeing Bilbo first. It was a mistake, and nearly proved disastrous, for Bilbo had changed, of course. At least He was getting rather greedy and fat, and his old desires had dwindled down to a sort of primitive dream. Nothing could have been more dismaying than to find it actually in danger of coming true. He was altogether bewildered and made a complete fool of himself. Thorin would have left in a rage but for another strange chance, which I shall mention in a moment. Once I have had a drink. It's in for another time, I think.